My name is Israel Sampson, and today I'm going to be doing a lesson called "The Native Americans and Mexicans Are Not the Children of Israel." And I'm doing this lesson because this campsite here teach the false breakdown that that the Mexicans, the Puerto Rican, the Native Americans, and Suna Indians are the 10 tribes. Based on what they read in Second Ezra, what they fail to understand is that the 10 tribes only went to Africa and Asia, and they still in these countries today. But most of the time they teach that breakdown because most of these brothers are married to these heathen wives, and they want to conclude it to be one of the tribes, and that's one of the many reasons. And the teachers also came for Aria, who came up with the false breakdown, the 12 tribes breakdown. But we can read in history in the Bible that the 10 tribes were still black people, and to this day they still black people. And I'm going to just go prove that through history, and I'm also going to prove that from the Bible. And before I even get this lesson started, I want to read this book called Babylon for 2 by 2. It's written by Ruda R. Rizza. And I'm going to start chapter 4, and I'm going to read it about the Hebrews were black. Because once you understand that, then you understand that, Shem, and throughout all his generation to this day, they still a black race of people. And, so I'm going to read the Orders of Black Jews, chapter 14, in a book called From Babylon for 2 by 2. And it says, originally all Hamites and Shemites were black, and Abraham was a black Shemite, a descendant of Shem. And the name Abraham was Abel before he was referred to as Abraham. 3 Hebrew partitions were Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this Jacob begat 12 sons, which later followed the 12 tribes of Israel. Abraham was a father not only the Hebrew Israelite nation, but also the Arab nation, because you gotta understand, he also had Ishmael too, which is the father of the Arabs. They was also black too. Now, the grandmother of the Arabian nation were black Hamite Egyptian women. And the father of the Arabian nation were Abraham and Ishmael, the black Shemites. It is certain time that there was hard feelings between Sarah and Abraham's wife, Abraham's wife, and Hagar, Sarah's handservant. And Hagar fled from Abraham's house in the wilderness. Josephus, the historical, wrote that the Ishmael married the Egyptian woman. As a result, he begat 12 sons. The key word we understand, Josephus, because Josephus going to tell like it is. He also was an Israelite too. So I'm going to read this again. He says right here that Josephus, the Jewish historical, wrote that Ishmael, the Egyptian woman. As a result, he begat 12 sons. We also read that in the Bible. And bear with me while I try to pronounce these, this 12 sons' name. Okay, it's okay. And the 12 sons is Nebajat, Kinder, Abel, Mishma, and Dumath, Masha, and Hadir, and Timar, and Jacor, or Naphish, and Kendamath. Now, excuse me if I'm having a hard time pronouncing the names. But these 12 sons became 12 tribes, inhabit a region from Euphrates to the Red Sea in Arabia. Now, you can read that because they became 12 princes. And this country is known today as Arabia. And those who do not believe that the ancient Arabians were black, I will make this one point crystal clear. If your mother or grandma were black, I posited that you will have many colored futures. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the 12 tribes of Israel were all black. And this will prove to you by Gergu Memphis. Now he gonna give you an example right here. And afterwards, Joseph was sold down to Egypt as a slave. We find in 40 seconds in the chapter of Genesis that he has become very viceroy of Egypt. And And Joseph's 10 brothers came into Egypt, which is in Africa, and to buy corn because of the famine was in the land. And all the newcomers who come to the Egypt had to buy corn from Joseph. But Joseph's 10 brothers did not recognize him because Joseph had grown up, and the Egyptians were a black people like the sons of Jacob. So it says right there it says right here that the Egyptians were black, just like the sons of Jacob right here. Just like the sons of Jacob, right? And the 10 brothers considered Joseph to be another black Egyptian. We know this to be true because the 10 brothers returned and reported to their father that the man who is Lord over the land spoke roughly to us. Furthermore, if Joseph were being white, he would have had a rose of his that the Israelites were black. But for the sake of the argument, I will offer it. So, I mean, this book is a good book, and he pretty much written down the history, through Josephus, that Ham and Shem were a black, people. They was a black nation, and that all 12 tribes were black. Now, since all 12 tribes were black, that means that Jacob had to be black. That means Isaac had to be black. That means Abraham had to be black, and Abraham's father and so forth, his grandfather through Shem were a black people. These were black nations. And Japheth was also black too, but something happened to him because of the curse, and some of his descendants became white. But we still had a black people running this world after this flood, and that means that Japheth, Ham, and Shem were a black race. And so Shem was a black race, which has been proven through Josephus, right? Now, I'm gonna get this lesson started, and I'm gonna go to the book of Genesis, chapter 17. Genesis chapter 27. Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41 through 43. Genesis 27 and verse 41 through 43. Because if Abraham was, because it just proved that the Shemites were black. So if you have children through black parents, that means your kids gonna come out be black. It's impossible for two black people have white babies unless a leper or something happened to you that the Lord curse you to the point your kids gonna come out with leprosies. I mean, we got black albinos and stuff, but more likely the kids are still gonna come out black. But they claim that Jacob had 3 Negro children and everybody else just came out to be different. That doesn't make any sense right there. But we're going to prove throughout the whole scriptures that the children of Israel were black. And so I'm going to start at verse 41 in Genesis chapter 27. Sit down. And it says, Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. Verse 42, and in these words of Esau, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her youngest son, and said unto him, behold, that brother Esau is touching thee, and does confront himself, proposing to kill thee. Verse 43, and therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise and flee down to Laban, my brother, to Haran. So she told him to flee to my brother Laban and to Haran, right? So let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 29. Sit down. Genesis chapter 29. And you know what? I'm just going to start verse... I'm going to start verse 4. It says, Jacob said unto him, my brother, where's be ye? And they said, of Haran are we. In verse 5, he said to them, no, Laban, that son of Nahor. And they said, yeah, we know him. In verse 6, and he said to them, as well, is he well? And they say, he is well. Behold, Rachel his daughter comes with the sheep. And he said, lo, it is yet a high day, and neither is time that the cattle shall be gathered together, and water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, we cannot until the flocks be gathered together, until they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and then we water the sheep. And while we yet spake with them, Rachel with her father's sheep, for she kept them. So he said Rachel, his father's sheep, which is Jacob's cousin, came and took out the sheep, right? Took care of the sheep. Verse 10, it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone for the well's mouth, and watered the flocks of Laban, his mother's brother. So why they keep on mentioning his mother's brother? Because Laban had two daughters. Actually, he had four daughters through the concubines. Zephi and Bilhah, which is the daughters of the concubines. His youngest two daughters, but his first two, you can read that in history. But his first two daughters he had was Leah, and not just that, it was Rachel. So those were his cousins. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass when Laban heard these tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. He told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he had born with her a space of time. So now he meet his nephew like, what, you my blood, you my flesh. You can stay with me. In verse 15. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what should thy wage be? Verse 16, Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. So Rachel was beautiful. Leah was tender-eyed. She wasn't ugly. It just Rachel looked better than her older sister. And we all know the rest. Jacob worked hard for us. So let's skip down to let's get down to verse 20. Zoe, sit down. Now, verse 20 says, Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. They seen into him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made feasts. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went into her. And Laban gave into his daughter Leah Zephi, his maid, for a handmaid. Now I'm gonna stop right there. So now instead of just blessed with Rachel, he gave him his firstborn. We all know the story that he was tricked and he had to work 7 more years for Rachel before he wifed her, right? I'm just gonna read it anyway. Matter of fact, we're gonna read it. In verse 25. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve thee for Rachel? For therefore lest thou beguile me? Verse 26, Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the first. Verse 27, fulfill her weeks, and we will give thee this also for service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. So Jacob did so. He fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also to Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And, so now he married two of his cousins, to his wives, because Rachel and Leah was his daughters. That was Laban's daughters, and that was Jacob's blood cousins. But remember, I just read from the book of from Babylon for chapter 2 that the Shemites were also black people. They were black. They were a black nation. So when black people have kids, their kids gonna turn out to be black too. Especially they was close kin to each other right here because that's how we kept in our custom within our family. That these, they have children, and their children became and looked just like the parents because the parents were black. I don't see where they get this idea thinking that they don't look like anybody else all around the world. They're going to look Chinese or Asian or whatever. That's not what the scriptures say. The Bible made it clear they look mixed, whatever. But they were still black. So I'm going to go to the book of, let me see. Actually, I'm going to go to verse 31. And with the, Zalera, shh. That's my daughter, sorry about that. Now, verse 31 says, when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and bare a son. She called his name Reuben, for she said, surely the Lord has looked upon my affliction, and now therefore my husband will love me. Verse 33, she conceived again and bare a son, and said, behold, the Lord has heard that I was hated, and he has therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Shimei. And she conceived again and bare him a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I am born with him 3 sons. Therefore his name was called Levi. Verse 35, she conceived again and bare a son. She said, now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left burying. Now, so she had 4 sons, right? Now, I'm going to explain how these simple Negroes, these stupid pastors in these camps, they're going to say that the other nations look just like anybody else. I mean, that the 10 tribes look just like the Hispanics and look all white, they look like everybody else. Now, they say that Reuben. Now, we look at that Judah and Levi was born for Leah, right? We just read that in the book of Genesis. And so we look at Reuben, Shimei, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. These are the 6 sons of Leah that she bore Jacob. So my question is, how the hell will 4 sons gonna come out to look different than the mother and father? They all said that Judah and Levi was gonna look Negro, but everybody else was gonna look like everybody else around the world look all pale and stuff. That don't make any sense right there, because Leah was a black woman. As I read to you from the book of Babylon from 2 by 2, that and not just that, but coming out of Josephus' mouth, that the Hamites and the Shemites were a black race of people. And that means that when you black, you're going to have some black children. Unless the Lord strike you with leprosy, that's one thing. But at the time that the 12 sons was born, that they all came out to be black. So how the hell is Reuben, Simeon, and Issachar, and Zebulun, which is I'm about to read next, is going to come out to look just like the Indians and Puerto Ricans and Mexicans today, these pale-skinned devils, and all of a sudden that Levi and Judah is going to be only Negroes, and Leah and Jacob was 2 black people. You know what I'm saying? That don't make any sense whatsoever. That don't make no sense. I never see your Chinese people having black babies. And hell, I never, ever in my life, and anybody in this world, never saw an Israelite brother like myself or any sister that had Chinese babies. Or have a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. Never. I never see a brother, 2 black people have a Chinese white baby. Never. Unless the Lord strike you with leprosy, that's one thing. But he didn't. He never struck the 10 times with no leprosy when he got kicked out the land. Matter of fact, I'm going to read all Leah's sons. Now I'm going to go to Genesis chapter. Sit down. I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 30. And I'm going to read verse 17 and through 20. We're going to read all her 6 sons. Now, the Lord hearkened to Leah, and she could see her and bear Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, God has given me my hire, because I had given my maiden to my husband, and she called his name Issachar. What she mean by her maiden? Because she did gave Zephi to Jacob to have his children. That's what Gad. Hold on. That's what Gad and Asher come in right there. Those were matter of fact, these were Leah's handmaid, who she had the children with. You know what I'm saying? So now Issachar was born through Leah and Jacob. Now let's read verse 20. And Leah saying, God has endured me with a good dowry, and now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him the six sons, and she called his name Zebulun. So these were all of Leah's children, y'all, right? As I just read it. So she had Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. These were Leah's sons right here. Through Jacob, who she bore to Jacob right here. So my question is, how, like I said, how was Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, and Simeon is going to look different than Judah and Levi? How these two going to be Negros, but the rest of the four brothers of Judah and Levi is going to look like anybody else? And they got the same mama, they got the same daddy, and they both black. And the Bible tells you throughout, not just what the Bible tells you, throughout all history, that all 12 sons of Jacob, the 12 tribes, were a black race of people. That is historical proof right there. But these damn simple ass caps and these simple ass stupid people want to believe what these false prophets say, because and they desire for these other women in these other nations, and they really hate their own selves. You know what I'm saying? And I'm guaranteeing y'all, if y'all show them that, you know what, all 12 tribes were black, I'm guaranteeing you that most of our people will stop reading the Bible, because they cannot marry a heathen woman, and they're going to try to use the Bible to justify it. After the Lord said, don't marry outside your race. Now, Leah had 6 children, and Judah and Levi, what they call that's the only Negro race, but Issachar, Zebulun, and Simeon, and Reuben. Also, they're going to look different, but they got the same mama and daddy. Come on, man. I hope y'all don't believe that bullshit they teach you these camps, man, under the 501c3. But the point is that these were a black people. And I just proved to you that Simeon and Judah and Levi and Reuben got the same mama. But y'all look at they 12 tribes breakdown when they got these camps, it does not match. They don't even got Joseph in there. They got Ephraim Manasseh, but they don't understand that Jacob never bore Ephraim Manasseh. Joseph bore Ephraim Manasseh and blessed him with double portion, but Joseph was the original tribe. It's still the original tribe, because when you look at Ephraim and you look at Manasseh, they're pretty much the tribe of Joseph also. But like I said, man, they teach the false breakdown of the 12 tribes, man. And a lot of people is falling for it, and they're going to end up being destroyed. And so I'm going to move forward. So we're going to look at the handmaids. We're going to look at the handmaids of, man, let's look at Rachel. Let's look at Rachel. You know, when she couldn't have no child, look what Rachel did. Let's start at verse 30. Let's go back to verse 1 and 30. Genesis 30 to verse 1. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, I am God's son who has withheld thee for the fruit of the womb? And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah go into her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. So this is Rachel's handmaid, Bilhah. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. Jacob went into her, and Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob his son. Rachel said, God has judged me, and has also heard my voice. and has given me a son, therefore, and I'll call his name Dan. Because you understand, Zephai and Birah, if I pronounce their names right, those are Hebrew names too. And they was also Hebrews. And matter of fact, they were the daughters of Laban too, they are the daughters of the concubines. You know what I'm saying? So these were also Hebrews too, and they was also black people also. And Jacob was also black too, because they all was cousins. Now, I'm going to keep on going. Okay, so Rachel said, God has judged me and has also heard my voice and has given me a son. Therefore, she called his name Dan. Bilhah, Rachel's man, he said again, and bare Jacob a second son. In verse 8, Rachel said, with the great wrestle I had with my sister, I prevailed, and I called his name Naphtali. So Naphtali was born through Bilhah, which is Rachel's handmaid, and she was also black, just like Jacob. So you have children, and both of their parents black. More likely your children's gonna come out be black too. As I proved, like I said, for Babylon from back 2 by 2, written by Rizza, that Josephus put down that the Hamites and the Shemitic people were black race of people, black nations. And now I'm gonna stop right now, verse 9. So this is, so Bilhah had Dan and Naphtali. And you understand that Jacob was black, and so was the handmaid. So that's why I put down Negros right here, because they were black people. Because according to history, that these was a black race of people. And another word for black in Spanish means Negro. You know what I'm saying? So these were a black nation. They were not a white, pale-faced Hispanic and North American Indian. Yes, we had different type of skin tone, but these were black people, though. You got some Ethiopians right now get by complexion too, and these the sons of Ham. The only difference between us and them, because we look at the historical and our custom, that a Hebrew man, we can grow locks and we can grow beards, but the Hamites can't. That's what made us a little different, and we can tell the difference between us two. Excuse me. Now, verse 9. And when Leah saw that she had left barren, she took Zephai and her maid, and gave Jacob to wife. And Zephyr, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, a troop comes, and she called his name Gad. Then Zephai and Leah's maid bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. Be quiet. And so Zephai, she had daughters also with Jacob. She was a black woman too. And so my thing is, these were a black race of people. These were Negroes. Look at the breakdowns I got down. You got Reuben, Simeon, Levite, Judah, Issachar, Reuben. These were the sons of Leah. And this the handmaid of Bilhah. He was Rachel's handmaid. Dan and Naphtali. Then this is the handmaid of Leah, Gad and Asher. And Rachel finally had children, had her kids, before she passed away later on. She had Joseph and she had Benjamin. But my question is, because Benjamin was born out of Rachel. He was the last born. But my thing is, how the hell can Benjamin just be a Negro and Joseph turned out to be the Puerto Ricans, who they claimed that Manasseh and Ephraim was Puerto Ricans, but they say that these wasn't Negroes right here. But Benjamin and Joseph got the same mothers who were black. And Rachel was the sister of Leah to their father Laban, which is Rebecca's brother. So how the hell you gonna come out look different and everybody else in their family was black? So y'all need to ask yourself questions. Y'all need to study your Bible to show that self-approval. I mean, because these cats will say, well, these words are black. But when you look at the chart, when you read the chart according to the scriptures, though, these words are black race of people. I don't care what your elders tell y'all, man. They teach y'all lies. They teach you philosophies based on money. They want to see a claim they keep the laws of the Most High, but they over here at the same time true to the laws of the Most High, as the Lord said, don't add no subtract to my word. The Lord said, don't marry outside your race. They want to justify the Puerto Ricans to be the children of Israel because they lust for their women. And I know, I used to be stupid before I came to the truth. I used to date these Hispanic girls, and yes, they are some freaks. And that's the reason why they want to include them among the 12 tribes in Israel, because they love these women. But y'all notice, when y'all watch these videos, they always put down our black women, though. Who they stupid ass came from between a black woman's legs themselves. You know what I'm saying? But these 12 tribes breakdown is false. Now I'm gonna move on. Now we're gonna move to Joseph, because I got into with this one lady on YouTube. You know, she was talking about the ghetto Christ churches false. You know, mama, it's about time you see that, because I don't see nothing good about that elder. He looked the funny shit anyway, just looking at his eyes. But my thing is, though, if you left the camp, why you still going based on their doctrine? Because if they lied and was teaching falling in your camp and they sold out, then my question is to you, why would you still hold on to their doctrine and instead of just do what any wise person would do? I'm like, you know what else they lied about? They lied about the wilderness. They lied about everything. They paid off. Let me reread this Bible again. That's what any wise person would do. But people want to come out these camps after they found out they teach lies. They still want to hold on to that damn 12 tribe doctrine crap. You know what I'm saying? Because they too lazy to read the scriptures themselves. And I feel sorry for the people that really try to get the truth, but they get led on to the wrong people that the Lord has not set up to be teachers in the first place. And they get all the attention because, at least that's how you know you deal with the false prophets. Because when you look at the Pharisees and scribes, they always dealt with people, though. They want everybody level. But the people like myself and other brothers out here trying to tell you, man, look, man, they're teaching the wrong doctrine, the 12 tribes. They overlook us. There's only a few's going to get that. So I'm going to go to Joseph right here. Matter of fact, we're going to read how the Lord compared the house of Israel, all 12 tribes, the nation of Israel to the Egyptians, to the Ethiopians. I ain't got that much time. I'm going to do this in part 2. I hope y'all understand it, but this part 1 set me now, since I broke it down, that all 12 tribes were black people, and not just that, but based on Josephus, though, where he had witnessed that he said the Hamites and Shemitic are a black race of people. But I see you in part 2.